You're listening to the Marriage Clinic Podcast, a podcast on love, marriage, and personal development. Our purpose is to inspire and equip you with knowledge and skills to enable you to have lasting and fulfilling relationships. Now, your host, Joshua Mogre.
Welcome to the Marriage Clinic Podcast. You are listening to the Marriage Clinic Podcast. As has been said, this is a podcast on love, marriage, and personal development. So our prayer, our hope is that as you join us on this podcast, you are going to go on a journey that is going to bring you great fulfillment in your love, your marriages, and also to develop as a person. I'm here, your host, Joshua Mogre, who is a relationship coach, and it's a Thursday evening in Ghana, about 8 p.m. I don't know where you are watching from. In the last episodes, we've had quite a few people from Tanzania. We've had some people from South Sudan. So whichever country you're watching us from, and Ghana as well, you're listening to us or watching from, please send us a message or type in the chat and let us know which country you are in, and we probably will give you a shout out as we go on. This is episode 4. So soon we are on the 4th episode, and it's good to come this far. We've started with the lies and the myths we believe about sex, and in the last episode I gave you lie number 7. And just a quick recap, lie number 7 was my wife should always want sex. My wife should always want sex. So today we're going to lie number 8. Now this is a big one. Lie number 8 is one of those ones that I'm sure a couple of people will disagree with me about. But hey, it's okay to disagree. We don't always have to agree. But even if you disagree, tell me why you disagree and we can debate this. Lie number 8 is very simple. Men can't control their sexual desires and shouldn't be expected to do so. That's a big one. That is a big one. From childhood, we've been told this lie that says, you know what? I'm a man. And I've heard people say, why would God give me all this sperm and just to give it to one woman? So, and then people look at evolution. They say, look throughout all the animals that we have out there. All the animals, how many of them are monogamous? So I'm a man, I have my sexual desires, and I cannot control my sexual desires. That is a big lie. That is a big lie that a lot of people have used to get women into bed. A lot of husbands have used as an excuse for being promiscuous, and we hear it all the time. But one of the things that I want to do is to let you know what is a lie and what is the truth. Men can control their sexual desires if they want to. What separates us from animals? What separates us from the goat and the cow and the dog out there is that we have the ability to turn it off and turn it on. Someone will say, well, whenever I have my sexual desire, I can't stop. But if you had a sexual desire and someone pulled out a gun, would you still go ahead? Think about it. Or if you are about to have sex with a lady and she says, after this, you're going to die. The desire goes. So we must understand that it is well within a man's right and his ability to be able to handle his sexual desire. So let us not believe the lie that says a man cannot handle his sexual desire. But how do you handle your sexual desire? One of the reasons why we started running the podcast was sometimes it allows me to run down a rabbit hole that I wouldn't be able to run down if I was doing this with a live audience. In-person audience. But some ways a man must understand that we are triggered by thoughts, Our sexual desires are triggered by thoughts. Our sexual desires are triggered by what we see. Men fall in love and also have a sexual desire by what they see. Women fall in love more by what they hear and how they feel. That is why you can see a not so good looking man with a very beautiful lady. And a lot of the time, some will say, well, he has money, but sometimes it's not money. Sometimes it's just the way he's made the lady feel. So we also need to take a look at it and realize that for men, if you want to be able to control your sexual desire, you must be able to control what you look at, what you listen to, and the positions you put yourself in. Let me explain that a little bit more before I go to the next lie. Since we are stimulated by what we see, you will find it more difficult to control your sexual desires if you are watching porn, if you are watching series and movies that have a lot of sexual content in them, if you are watching and listening to music videos that are sexually explicit. So what you must understand is that as an individual, you must take the decision. If you're an individual who decides that I want to control my sexual desire, you must control what you look at, you must control what you listen to, and you must control the places you put yourself in. That is number one. Number two, so you take down watching porn, you take down watching all these things is going to help you manage your sexual desire. The next thing that you have to understand is that in order to manage your sexual desire, you have to be able to check the positions you put yourself. When I say the positions you put yourself, what do I mean? Most men, you see, just like women based on their cycle will have a stronger desire at a particular time, in the same way, men also based on stress levels, based on the last time they had sex, based on what has been going on, can also push them in a direction where they want to have sex. So you need to know yourself. Now I'm talking to men. Men, lock in right now. I'm talking to men. You need to be able to find out what are the triggers for me that make me want to have sex. And once you identify those triggers, you can distract yourself or put yourself in a position where you don't fall like that. So men can control their sexual desire. And I said this the last time and people were laughing. Ladies, let me tell you a little secret. Blue balls does not kill. Blue balls does not kill. Men use that all the time. They say, well, if you don't give me sex, I'm going to have blue balls. And they make it sound like it's cancer, like some terminal cancer they are going to die from. I'm yet to find a man who died because he had blue balls. If that was the case, then the monks in the monasteries and our Catholic priests and so on should be dead by now. But the truth of the matter is that when a man is aroused and he makes a decision, he is not going to take advantage of the situation. He can control what he is feeling. So lie number 8, men can't control their sexual desire, is a lie. Every man can control his sexual desire. Good. That brings us to lie number 9. Are you ready for lie number 9? Lie number 9 is that married sex is boring. Married sex is boring. You hear them say, we used to have great sex, but since we got married, our married sex is boring. Married sex isn't boring, but what you put into it is what you get out of it. Let me explain. If a couple, first of all, I'm a person of faith. If you're listening to the Marriage Clinic podcast for the first time, you may not know, but I'm a person of faith. I'm a person who believes in the principles of the Bible. And I believe that sex should be within the confines of a married setting. A husband and a wife married to each other, sex should be had. If you're not married to somebody, you shouldn't be having any form of sexual intercourse with the person. But when people and the reason why sometimes people say married sex is boring is because a lot of the time they were having premarital sex. Now, if you were having premarital sex, this is the problem that you are going to face. Premarital sex, often the frequency was you're not sure when you're going to have sex. Either she's coming to visit. Now, I'm not speaking from experience. I'm speaking from they told me, sort of. So probably she's going to come and visit. You prepare. He cleans up the room. He throws all the dirty clothes under the bed. The lady goes to the shop, buys some lingerie, buys the best underwear, puts herself in the right state of mind, and comes. When they do meet, they have prepared properly for sex. And that's all they do. And they are at it till she has to leave. And the man is putting on the best behavior because he knows that if he doesn't treat her well, she's not going to be interested in having sex. So from the minute she walks in, he's doing everything to be romantic. Great. Now, on the other hand, when a couple are married, if they don't pay attention to the kind of sex they are having, then they have a problem. Because a lot of married couples get into bed and they just flip over and say, okay, it's Tuesday. We said we'll have sex today, so hurry up. But if you would bring the same enthusiasm single people are bringing to the bed, to the married bed, and not take each other for granted, you can have some of the best sex because now you're having sex without the guilt that comes along with it. So it is a lie that married sex is boring, but married couples need to put in more effort into their sexual lives to ensure that they are able to have better sex. There lies the question. I'm sure I can see the wheels turning and the person is saying, okay, Josh, I'm married. I'm wondering, how am I going to have better sex? Because the sex my wife and I are having here is boring. What I would tell you at this point is that let me give you some tips on how a married couple can have better sex. Number one, which is strange, you have to have a conversation about sex when you are not having sex. Have a conversation about sex when you are not having sex. What does that mean? You don't tell your wife or your husband your sex is whack when both of you are naked and lying in bed. It probably should be the next day when there's nothing sexual going on, where one of you says, can we have a conversation about sex? This is how our sex life is. What can we do to improve it? And sometimes you look at it and say, you know what? Probably these are the things that are going on. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's do that. So that's the first tip. Have a conversation about sex and how you want sex to be. Number two, bring your A game. Bring your A game. You see, I say all the time that sometimes women put in more effort into preparing a meal. They would go to the market, they would buy all the things they need to buy, they would come and prep the meal and take 3 hours to prep the meal. If you live in Ghana, we have a soup called palm nut soup, and palm nut soup takes you about 3 hours to prep. I mean, from scratch. So women would do that, or some men also cook too well. So the gender people, please put your knives down. But they would take 3 hours preparing, asking themselves, what do we need for this? How do I put it in play? But they would take a decision about sex in 5 minutes. So you need to bring your A game. If you're a married couple, you need to bring your A game. If you've decided you're going to have sex, you need to put all the things in place. Take a bath at the right time, play the right music, have the right conversations, have the right discussions so that you can have great sex. And I've done a whole teaching on it. You probably can find it in the archives. But another thing is to also get rid of distractions. It's important to do these things to have great sex in marriage. But it is a lie that married couples have boring sex. I know a lot of married couples who cannot keep their hands off each other and who are really enjoying themselves in all of this. So please remember, it is a lie that married sex is boring. Lie number 10 is an interesting one. It says good sex naturally happens. You know, sometimes when people are dating, one of the excuses they use to have sex is they say, we want to find out if we are sexually compatible. And you hear them, the sexual compatibility is what I am looking for. what you must understand is that good sex does not happen naturally. It takes practice, it takes conversation, it takes not taking sex too seriously. It takes you having a conversation and saying, this didn't work for me and that didn't work for me, but I really liked it when you did this. I'm comfortable with this and I'm not comfortable with that. Or I can do this and I cannot do that. So if you work at having great sex, you will have great sex. But if you just assume that me being here, and a lot of the times, it happens with men as well, but a lot of the times you hear women come in with that mindset a little bit more, where it is like, I am here, I am the prize, I should be enough. But you need to realize that just being there is not enough, and deciding how you are going to go about it is really important. So good sex, the lie that good sex comes naturally is not true. Practice makes perfect. Having discussions, learning the art, being able to talk through some of the things that are going on is what is going to help you as a couple to have great sex. So it's not natural. And everybody is different. It's good to understand that. For those who've been all over the place before they got married, sometimes they're expecting that what happened with Bernice and what happened with Megan and what happened with so on should happen with my wife, or what happened with James and what happened with Paul and give me another name should happen. But what you should realize is that everybody is different. Everybody is turned on by different things. And if you spend enough time trying to know your spouse, sex will not happen naturally. Good sex will not happen naturally, but you will get to the destination of having great sex because you have done the right things. I said 10 lies, but let me give you the last one, lie 11. In Ghana, we say jara. Jara means a small addition, like you go buy food, street food, and after they serve you, you tell the food vendor, give me jara. That means give me a little more or something to please me. Now, the last one, or number 11, which is jara, is sexual temptations happen to only single people. I used to believe that. When I was getting married, I used to tell myself, I said, hey, from the moment I get married, boom, I am no longer going to have sexual desires. I'm no longer going to have a problem. From the day I get married, temptation is over. Big lie. Big lie. You're going to have to fight temptation every day of your life. Every single day of your life, you're going to have to fight temptation. Okay? Every single day of your life, you're going to have to fight temptation. And it is important that you know that. So sexual temptation happens to only single people. Sexual temptation happens to only single people. Listen, as I was saying, after getting married, I realized that it still happens. The fact that you are married doesn't mean that it is the final solution to all your sexual desires. You are going to have to keep doing the right things and putting yourself in the right situations to stay away from sexual temptation. When you get married, if your wife is short, you're going to wonder what a tall lady is like. You're going to wonder what a light-skinned lady is like, what a dark-skinned lady is like, and vice versa. You're going to wonder what other people are like. You're going to meet people that you find yourself attracted to, because remember that there is not one person in this life that you were made to marry or God created you to marry. I know we say that during our married vows, of all the people in the world, you are the one that God wants me to marry. Yes, but you are not the only one that I could have married. I know it doesn't sound very romantic, but it is the truth. So what you need to understand here is very simple. Yes, so if you are struggling with sexual temptation, being married helps, but being married does not eliminate sexual temptation. So if you don't begin to put in the principles of what deals with sexual temptation, and you are just hoping and believing that once I get married, all of this is going to come to an end, then you are going to have a problem. So it's important to note, listen very clearly, line number 11, sexual temptation happens to only single people. It is a lie. When you are married, you are going to have sexual temptations. You may have entanglements, but all those things will come your way, and you need to learn to put the right things in play to make sure you don't find yourself in the wrong places. So, as I said, this is episode number 4 of the marriage podcast, and we've been looking at the lies we believe about sex. It's been a 3-week journey. This marriage podcast comes to you every Thursday at 8 p.m. GMT. 8 p.m. GMT is when it comes to you every single week. So every Thursday at 8 p.m. Ghana time, GMT, we are going to be broadcasting. So we've looked at the lies we believe, just a quick recap about the lies that we believe. What we said is lie number 1, God doesn't like sex. God loves sex. God created sex. How could the person who created an orgasm not want you, not like sex, or be concerned about it? Lie number 2 was that sex is just a physical act. We established that sex is not physical, sex is emotional, and sex is spiritual. So if someone tells you that, oh, it's just sex, tell them it's not just sex. Tell them Joshua says it's not just sex, okay? The Bible says it's not just sex. Research has shown that it's not just sex. And you could go back and listen to the podcast where I talk about it in detail. Then line number 3 was sexual compatibility should be tested before marriage. Ladies, the next time a guy tells you that sexual compatibility should be tested before marriage, please tell them that I'm not falling for that one. Lie number 4 was I can have the kind of sex I see in porn movies. It doesn't happen. What we see in porn is acting. What you will do at home with your wife is real life. Wanting to have the kind of sex you see in porn is like you, young man, looking at me through the screen, wanting to play like Cristiano Ronaldo or to play like Haaland or whoever. Lie number 5, the bigger the better. The bigger the better. You need to go back and find out why. Lie number 6, sex must be long. Sex must be long. The average duration of sex is 5.4 minutes. It takes a man 5 to 7 minutes to have an orgasm, and a woman averagely 14 minutes to have an orgasm. So those who say, I want my man to go for 30 minutes and 1 hour, please don't kill our young men for us. Lie number 7 is my wife should always want sex and I should always want to have sex. That is not true. Lie number 8, men can't control their sexual desires. That is not true. And lie number 9, married sex is boring. Married sex can be fun and great. And lie number 10, good sex naturally happens. No, it takes a lot of work. And lie number 11 is sexual temptation happens to only single people. Nope, it doesn't happen to only single people. It happens to married people as well, and we need to deal with it. So here we have tackled I call it 10 lies, but the 11 lies that we have believed about sex. Remember, you're listening to the Marriage Clinic podcast. You'll be listening or watching the Marriage Clinic podcast. My name is Joshua Mogre, and I'm a relationship and marriage coach. And every Thursday, I am going to be bringing you information that is going to help you. This is a podcast about love, marriage, and personal development. And remember, my goal, what I want to see happen in your life, is to inspire and equip you with the knowledge and skills you need to enable you have lasting and fulfilling relationships. Lasting and fulfilling relationships. If you enjoyed this podcast, you can help me a lot by doing these things. Number one, please hit the like button. Just pause now and hit the like button. Hit the like button. Number two, can you share? Can you share? Share and tag me. Look for me on all the socials. I'm Joshua Mogre on Facebook, Joshua Mogre on Instagram, Josh Mogre on Twitter. Look for me on all these places and even on TikTok, and tag me. Me or a member of my team will share it and give you a little goodie if you did that. So please like, please share. Please comment, put a comment right now if you're watching on Facebook or watching on YouTube. Please just put in a comment. Kindly put in your name, where you're watching from, and something you got from this podcast. And lastly, could you share it with a few friends that you believe need to hear this? Every Thursday, 8 p.m. GMT, we will be here. It's good to have had you this time, and bye-bye.